We're now going to learn how to return a value from a method. So thus far we have two methods, init and drive. There is no return statement, although we know implicitly that the instance itself is returned from the init method, and we'll get assigned to whatever variable you have over here. Now the drive method prints out some information but does not return anything. That means you cannot capture it in a variable. So what I'm going to do here is define a new method called future lifetime. It's not going to take in any arguments. Self is implicitly passed, as we talked about. And it's just going to return the future lifetime, which just means the amount of miles that are left until the car's value is 0. So I did one other thing in here. I set the depreciation to 25 cents per mile. So if we take the price, whatever that current price is, and divide it by the depreciation, we should get the number of miles left until the car is worth 0, right? So it's just that little calculation. Notice in here in drive, instead of using 50 cents like I did above, I'm just using this self.depreciation. So whatever it is set at, it's set at 25 cents. So it's constantly being depreciated whenever you drive. So you just take that miles and multiply by depreciation, which is why when you divide, you get the opposite. You get the number of miles left. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So my car dot mileage. So there's no miles on it. So I can now call this future lifetime. I don't have to pass it in anything because self is automatically passed to it. And it'll say 140,000. So that's just 35,000. That's the initial price divided by 0.25, right? So that makes sense. If it goes 140,000 miles, then it will be worth 0. So let's go ahead and drive our car some number of miles. We can drive it 50,000 miles. So it's gone 50,000 miles. That's the total. And our car is now worth 22,500. So it's down. If we want to calculate the future lifetime, we just call the future lifetime method. So now there is 90,000 miles left until the car is worth 0. So that's what it did. So it went from 140,000 down to 90,000, obviously after we drove 50,000 miles. So that's how you can create a method that returns some value. You just use the return statement like this. Here, notice inside here we are able to use the price, so whatever the current price is. So the instance's price is what we use, self. That's what's cool about creating classes, that you have access internally to all of the other pieces of data. So you don't have to keep passing them around inside of functions. That's what we've done before with some of our other projects. We had to keep passing all of this data around. Instead, you can just access it using self. So that's one major difference you'll see between using classes versus using just nothing but functions, is that you don't have to pass all this data around. It is already bound to these instances themselves, so you can just use them immediately instead of having a whole bunch of arguments you pass over here. All right, so that's how you can return a value from a method.